And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. Now that Westfest is over, let's get back to normal. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. They're located in Cheviot. They're on Harrison Avenue, right inside the Dora District. You can go from bar to bar with your drinks. They've got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. It's not a bad seat in the house. They have the DirecTV Sports package, so they stream all the games, and Cincinnati sports will always be on the video wall. Don't have a kitchen, but food trucks on the weekends and randomly throughout the week. Brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines. And not only do they pour the coldest Cincy Light around, they do so in 32.8 degree frosted glasses. That's not bad, Aaron. I haven't done that one in a while. I feel like I was fresh on the Hail Marys read. Let's get to this as we get back into a normal schedule. Is Aaron there? Did I lose him? Did he freeze? Aaron, paging once. There he is. Uh-oh. This is not, we gotta figure something out, brother. We gotta figure something out.
I know. Working on it.
You're back on like a 4 to 5 second delay. Makes it a great challenge.
I'm on life support.
You're on life support. Back into our normal flow, back into our good friend Ross Dellinger and his content as something we have been talking about for a long time and has been talked about behind the scenes for a long time is now starting to be talked about a little bit more in the open. This is from yesterday, Monday, the 30th, from Ross Dellinger. Danny White, athletic director at Tennessee, has been talking about this behind the scenes a lot. He's done being quiet about it. Danny White said, "It's time to go public. I've been voicing it in private rooms for 4 years. I'm not going to bite my tongue anymore. Collective bargaining and employment status shouldn't be seen as a negative term. I think there's a lot of people who think the same way I do. We can go to another 3 or 5 or 10 years of a difficult environment, or we can accept the reality and fix it right now." And I will say right now, Aaron, I love Danny White. Thank you, Danny White.
Yeah, this has been something that we've talked about here on this show probably a dozen times at least. We're clearly on the side of it. The funny thing in what I've seen mentioned in this article is that they want to unionize the players, yet still keep them from being employees of the university because, why would we want them to be that?
So the problem there is the schools don't want it, by and large, like as a whole. So what Danny White is, I think Danny White, if given his druthers, they would just make them employees. They would collectively bargain, and they would get to. We have talked about this for ages. The end of this is collective bargaining, because when there's collective bargaining and both sides have a seat at the table, there's no more lawsuits that come out of this because both sides have a voice, both sides reach an agreement, and you go from there. But until we get there, it's like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years of going through lawsuits and counting on people to be honest and trustworthy in a landscape where they haven't been honest and trustworthy for 50 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just curious to see how this evolves because clearly there's people talking about it. The fact that he's having to do it behind closed doors and keeping it quiet and has decided now to finally bring it to light. I'm just kind of curious as to what the next step here is because he's probably not the only person thinking this. I can't imagine that he is. And so as he's trying to kind of get the conversation started in the dark, who else is thinking this way? And how do you get, what's the next step?
Yeah, I mean, Baylor AD Mac Rhodes kind of said the other quiet part out loud. Whether you call it collective bargaining or some kind of negotiating process, I think it's needed. And SMU's athletic director, Damon Evans, says it's worth exploring. There's concern over unionizing, and I understand that. But where we are right now, I don't think this is the last iteration of this process. And he's right, because it's a process that can't exist with only one side setting the terms. That would be the NFL without the players union, or just the NFL got to decide. You know what's funny though, Aaron? I have these conversations all the time with contacts around the country, and they said, well, here's what's going to happen if this is ever challenged, the revenue sharing, the stuff the way that it is, because in most of these environments, as you know, it's pretty close to a 50-50 split. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, like the revenue comes in, the ownership groups gets 50%, the players get 50%, and how they handle it from there is kind of dependent on the sport, the bargaining, whatever. What we're seeing right now in college sports is they are rev sharing 20%. And I was told that when this is challenged, guess what they're going to say in court? Any guess?
I'm very curious. I don't know.
30% is the scholarships and the housing.
They're probably going
to the meals.
I was going to say scholarships, housing, and books. Yeah.
So they're going to say, we're giving you 50%. We're giving you the scholarship, and we're giving you this, and we're giving you that. And that's in addition to the 20% that we're revenue sharing with you, which there should not be. The athletic department should not have to pay for the scholarships to the university. I've said that forever. The advertising, all the things that an athlete does for the university, especially at the highest levels, there should not be a dollar amount associated with that scholarship. That's what I believe.
No, I agree. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. That's what you want to kind of throw out there, especially, again, we've talked about this time and time again. Every time we talk about this subject, we talk about how this entire thing is built on the backs of the players. It is built on the backs of the player, which is why the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, all of these other leagues give them 50% because it's built on their backs. Why does the university need this much revenue from a college sport where it's student athletes going out there? Like the fact that Ohio State is a $1 billion industry because of their football team is bananas.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything that can be done that makes this operate functionally without collective bargaining. Because guess what? They all say they're going to sign this paper that holds them to the House settlement, and everybody's going to play by the rules, and nobody's going to cheat, and nobody's going to try to pay players under the table, and players are just going to openly accept that somebody wants to give them $1 million, but now can't give them $1 million. That's going to be challenged in a court of law, obviously. Like, it just blows my mind that there is still this inability for the people in charge to see the only way this works is collective bargaining. The only way this works is negotiation and the players having a voice. But there's still so many of these idiots that think, oh, they're just kids. They're just kids. They don't deserve a seat at the table. They don't deserve all the benefits of employment and everything else that goes along with it. All that they deserve what we give them. They should just take what we give them and be happy, right? That's how they think through this thing. That's the thought process of the people with the money. They should just take what we give them and be happy.
Well, the people at the top who have the money are always going to want more money. And you're trying to take lots of money away from them by giving it to the players. And that's what they're kicking and screaming about. Is now you're cutting into their funding. Now you're cutting into their salaries. Now you're cutting into their jobs. Now you're cutting into just all of the money that has been allocated for the sports departments is now being divided up handsomely towards the players, and it's still not enough in clearly your opinion and my opinion, and plenty of other people's opinions. But you just got to figure out, and again, this is why you need collective bargaining. You have to figure out what is fair and in this world. And right now, to your point, when you only have the people at the top making the rules for everybody else and nobody else really has a say, you are opening yourself up to lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit to no end until you get
you
this
can't win.
Correct.
Lawsuits you can't win. Like, they still haven't learned. It still hasn't settled in that they're not winning propositions in court when it comes to limiting movement, when it comes to limiting earning ability. These are adults. They are 18. Like, they are adults. They are allowed to make money. And if someone wants to pay them that money, the NCAA does not really have a leg to stand on when it comes to, well, we've decided that money's for us. It's not for you. It's for us.
Well, I can't wait to see the first lawsuit that comes out where somebody is told that the NIL Go said that this was an unfair. They were paying this athlete too much money, entirely too much money. We decided that your name, image, and likeness is not actually worth the dollar amount that this group decided to pay you. And so now you have to go to court to try and prove that your name, image, and likeness is actually worth whatever anybody. It's the same as selling anything, literally anything. What if you have a baseball card or a signed baseball or any whatever, it's worth what someone will pay for it. There is no determined value. When Shohei Ohtani hits home run number 500 one day on the same day that he pitches a no-hitter, because that's the way baseball is fucking stupid, that baseball will be worth $1 bajillion. But that's the market value because that's what somebody decided to pay for it. Like, that, you can't put a value on this stuff. What are we doing?
Well, to that point, like, part of this NIL Go thing that's always bothered me is not every market is the same. Like, the quarterback at Alabama is worth a lot different money than the second string wide receiver at East Podunk State. Like, you're not working on the same scale. So to a car dealership in Alabama, if they get the quarterback to come on their commercials and show up at their lot and do autograph signings, if that means they can make $2 million in car sales because people in Alabama want to buy a car from wherever Jim Bob Cooter endorses a car, and they make $2 million off of it, why can't they give the quarterback $1 million of that? And NIL Go is going to say, well, no, that's not fair market value. But it is.
You could bring it closer to home and say, even here in Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby is not worth the same as a quarterback in Tuscaloosa, because you have Joe Burrow here, because you have Ellie De La Cruz here. You have other stars that take precedent over Cincinnati. It is what it is. But these other stars for professional teams, even maybe, even if you get a big star in for FC Cincinnati, it still might be worth more than Brendan Sorsby. But that's here in this market, not Tuscaloosa. Two very different markets selling on two very different brands. So you can't put there isn't an algorithm for this. You can't just figure it out. It's just fucking common sense. That's all it is. Like, I don't know. I
did you hear
again? I'm just very curious to see how this goes in a court of law when somebody says, no, you were not worth $1 million. We determined you based on a myriad of facts that we decided that this should be based on. You are not worth $1 million.
Yeah, that company cannot pay you XYZ amount of dollars because we have determined that it's not fair. Really.
Okay.
But that goes back to collective bargaining. And I just don't see a way out of this. I don't see a way to stable ground, I guess is a good way to put it. I don't see a way to cut all the crap. And we talked about this when the House settlement passed, Aaron. It is a 10-year deal. They have 10 years to figure this out and get it right. I don't trust them in any way, shape, or form to do it. And the answer is right there in front of their face. It's right there in front of their face. The answer is the easiest answer humanly possible. It's right there. Give the players a seat at the table. Give the players an opportunity to make this fair and reputable. And they won't do it. And until they do, I'm never going to feel comfortable with where this is all headed. We got plenty more to get to tomorrow night. That's just the tip of the iceberg on Ross Dellinger this week. We'll see you next time. That's the Nightcap. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!